Today on the Golden Bolt we look at the second game in our Kirby's Dream Collection Marathon, Kirby's Adventure on the Nintendo Entertainment System. As the first console entry in the Kirby franchise, does it hold up almost 25 years later, or can you just leave it right in the past? Let's find out. Despite Dreamland launching as a moderate success, HAL Laboratory was in dire straits. Dreamland had been their only recent success, and the company had grown far too quickly, ballooning to 90 employees by Dreamland's launch. The company had only just taken out large loans to move its office from Tokyo to Yamanashi when the Japanese stock bubble collapsed. HAL was forced to file for bankruptcy protection. It was just about ready to shutter when Nintendo's president Hiroshi Yamauchi swept in and offered a 1.5 billion yen loan, provided the company restructure, and named Satoru Iwata as its new president. Determined to repay this loan as quickly as possible, Iwata and HAL looked towards the future, and that future was focused around Kirby. Kirby's Adventure was released on the NES in the spring of 1993, and while in the long run it wasn't as successful as Dreamland, it was still a success, selling over 1.75 million copies. With two back-to-back successes and another one on the way later that year in the franchise's first spin-off, Kirby's Pinball Land, HAL had firmly established Kirby as one of Nintendo's key mascots. Just like with Dreamland, the story in Kirby's Adventure is told pretty much entirely in the manual. Kirby was taking his customary after-lunch nap, but when he woke up, he felt terrible. He hadn't had any dreams, which is unheard of for the people in Dreamland. Kirby finds out that nobody's having dreams, and determined to find out why, he goes to the Dream Spring, where he finds King Dedede, who tells him that he broke the legendary Star Rod into 7 pieces and spread it across the kingdom. Without so much as a second thought, Kirby goes to repair the Star Rod and bring dreams back to Dreamland. Dude, just play with items on, the Star Rod's like the most common item in the game. After traveling the world and fixing the Star Rod, Kirby goes to put it back in its pedestal when, oh my god, look at Dedede's face. That is the face of someone who's seen some shit. Kirby doesn't listen to the king's desperate pleas, and upon putting the Star Rod back, an evil being sealed within awakens. Huh, Dedede was actually just trying to help, and Kirby just straight up ignored him. Maybe he's not so bad after all. With the help of Dedede, Kirby beats this creature known as Nightmare and restores dreams to the land. Right off the bat, Kirby's Adventure is a massive improvement over Dreamland in pretty much every way. As opposed to a purely linear level-to-level adventure, this outing adds these small playable hubs to each of the game's 7 worlds. Each world contains between 4 and 6 normal levels plus a boss fight and several bonus rooms. The bonus rooms are usually unlocked by finding the secret hidden in a specific level. Many levels have secrets hidden in them now, and you can tell which ones you still need to find by looking at the level door. If the door is still glowing, you missed something. Bonus rooms can be a teleport to other worlds, a mini-game, or a museum. Some of these mini-games include a crane game for extra lives, Kirby eating eggs, or a Wild West quick draw sort of game. The museum will hold a specific enemy or two that Kirby can absorb to gain a new power. Now, if you've ever seen Kirby in anything besides the first Dreamland, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. Kirby can still suck up enemies just like in Dreamland, but now by pressing down on the D-pad, he'll absorb the power of certain enemies. These copy abilities include Sword, Spike, Fire, Stone, Fireball, Hammer, Ball, Sleep, Ice, and many more. This alone is what takes Adventure to the next level. Having an explorable overworld of sorts is nice, and having a ton more levels to explore in is great, but the copy abilities are what makes Kirby. They add such a variety to the gameplay and really encourage you to explore more than you ever could in Dreamland. Now I'll find myself eating every enemy just to see what powers I can get. Some enemies don't give powers at all, but now you have that choice whether or not you want to gamble and find out if another power is better than what you have now. It's fantastic. I feel like the glutton Kirby is playing this game. I eat everything. I want to eat everything. I
must consume.
Even mini-bosses have powers now, with some being limited use screen clears and others being German suplex.
Ah, German suplex with the bridge!
Some rooms in levels are locked to needing a certain kind of power, which encourages you to come back with another power and find out what's hidden inside. Unlike later Kirby games though, for the most part Kirby doesn't visually change to match his power in this game. If you're not sure what copy ability you have or what it does, you can hit the pause button to see a nice little explanation screen. You do have to be careful though, as getting hit even once will knock the power right out of Kirby. The power will bounce around in star form for a few seconds though, so if you're quick enough you can grab it again. As a result of Kirby having all these copy abilities now, the game does away with most of the power-ups that Kirby had in Dreamland, with the exception of the invincibility power-up. In general, Kirby is much more versatile in this game than he ever was in Dreamland. For starters, the little guy can run now by double tapping a direction, and he can do a little crouch kick by pressing down and the A button. I feel like I can do anything in this game. I can be killed by food? But Kirby loves food. Why would something you love hurt you? My life is a lie. When you complete a level, your current health and your copy ability will both carry over. This makes the world feel like more than just a disjointed series of levels that you'd often see in NES games. Being reckless in level 2 will have an impact on you in level 3. Of course, dying really doesn't matter, you still restart in the exact same room, and even if you game over, you just start over right where you left off with half your score. It's still a Kirby game after all. Running out of lives shouldn't happen often, even if the game is more difficult than the waltz that is Dreamland. When you finish a level, you're treated to this little end sequence where you can shoot Kirby upward. Time it right and you'll get extra score, time it perfectly and you'll get an extra life. In general, the game is constantly rewarding you, and it's great. The new mini-bosses and boss fights, such as this fight with the Sun and the Moon, are awesome, and Kirby's Adventure marks the first appearance of Kirby's rival, Meta Knight. Most of the bosses are retreads from the first game though, which isn't a huge deal, but it's worth noting. Here, I think it's a positive, as they all have slightly modified strategies, and with your new copy abilities, it makes each one feel totally different. Especially this stupid Cloud, I swear to god he only exists to lag the game here. The game will sometimes slow down too if there are too many enemies on screen, which does take away from some of the later levels. However, it's worth noting that the Dream Collection allegedly fixed many of the slowdown issues, and it's still pretty bad at times. The original version could be much worse, I don't know. My only other complaint is a nitpick, but sometimes Kirby's mechanics don't feel precise enough. This secret switch here, for example, requires you to set the fuse on fire and then sprint quickly towards the cannon, but every single time, Kirby likes to get caught up in his floating and screw me over. It's frustrating, but mainly only if you're going for all the secrets, which I admittedly did not. Getting all the secrets and a 100% save file will unlock Extra Mode, which is, again, just the game but with less health and no save feature. I think there's still value in going for all these secrets though, even if the reward could be a little better. Those issues aside, there's a ton more bang for your buck here than with Dreamland. For one, it's literally 10 times as long, so you may not beat it in one sitting. Thankfully, the game autosaves after each level, so you can put it down if you need to, unless you're in that extra mode, of course. There are so many small improvements that help flesh Kirby into the iconic franchise it is today. I think there's still some room to improve though, with slowdown being a significant issue as the game goes on. Because there are still some problems hanging on here, I'm going to give the game a silver bolt for its gameplay. Like Dreamland with the Game Boy, I'm sometimes surprised this game exists on NES hardware. It's a very late era NES game. The Super Nintendo had been out for a few years already, which means HAL had a lot of tricks to work with by this point. Kirby's Adventure plays with lighting in a few levels, with the foreground, background, and enemies all darkened unless you absorb one of these enemies for their light power. That's right, this game did silhouette levels 20 years before Limbo and Donkey Kong Country Returns. It's got these towers that spin beautifully as you move, giving you the perception of running in a circle right around the edge, and that feels straight out of Castlevania in the best way. It's got this unique airship level that plays with wind currents. It's got a precursor to those stupid endless jumper phone games. It's got some levels that play with gravity, plus this game is self-aware. It's got a room that I swear has to be a spoof of the item rooms in Zelda 1. And hell, it's even got a level that's a straight callback to Kirby's Dream Land, where you run through a shortened version of that entire game, and the visuals even swap out to a Game Boy's color palette. This game is just straight up gorgeous. It does have some visual bugs every now and then though, and that plus the lag I mentioned earlier makes me think the game may have pushed the NES too hard at times. On the topic of lag, Kirby himself likes to lag for almost a full second when he's hit sometimes. And I can't tell if it's an intentional gameplay choice or a bug. I'm gonna mention it here though because it's really random when it seems to happen, and by the end of the game it really started to get on my nerves. The soundtrack is, as I'd already expect going by the first game, excellent, and just like the gameplay compared to Dreamland, there's a lot more here. There's more than one theme for each world now because there's more than one level in each world. It's all, just like Kirby himself, very upbeat, very simple, and very expressive. Just like Dreamland, there's not much I can knock here as far as presentation goes, so I'm gonna give it a golden bolt. I think if you're just getting into the Kirby franchise, this is probably a good place to start. Later games are obviously going to be better, but this is where the Kirby franchise truly begins for me, with Dreamland sort of acting like a prologue to the puffball we all know and love today. You can grab an original NES copy for about $20, or you can grab it digitally on the Wii U for $5. It's also available on the 3DS eShop for $7, which comes with added 3D functionality for some reason. Or, again, you can do what I did and grab the Dream Collection on Wii and get 6 games for a pretty low price. Kirby's Adventure also got a full remake on the Game Boy Advance titled Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland. This adds significant changes and adjustments, but I don't know all the details as I haven't played it yet. One day. But if you really want that version instead, it's $10 on the Wii U eShop. And with that quick dip in console Kirby out of the way, we're moving right back to the handheld to continue the Dreamland series. So join me next week when we look at Kirby's Dream Land 2 on the Game Boy. As always, thanks for watching everybody, and stay golden. Have you ever wanted to chat with me about a game I reviewed, or maybe about games in general? You should check out the official Golden Bolt Discord server. I'm pretty much there all the time, and you can chat with me or your fellow Golden Bolt viewers. The link is in the description.